Hi, dear Christian entrepreneur. Welcome to today's episode of Dear Christian Entrepreneur. And today, as we continue the faith series, we're going to be examining the faith of Elijah. So, the last episode we talked about the faith of a Syrophoenician woman. If you haven't seen it, please go and check it. It will bless you. So, today, let's get into the Bible. We're going to be reading from 1 Kings 17. And we'll just run through it quickly. I'm reading the NLT. As you know, the NLT is my favorite rendition of the Bible. But today I want us to talk about the faith of Elijah. Most times people talk about, the faith of Elijah is sort of like taken for granted, right? People talk about the faith of the widow of Zarephath. They feel like she's everything they say that she is, and even maybe more, right? Because it takes a lot to be able to give all that you have to a prophet when you know that there was nothing coming from anywhere. That was some crazy faith. But let's talk about the faith of the prophet, the servant of God, God's servant, the man of God, because we think that the man of God, so she already have faith. Remember that at some point this man was asking God to take his life. He was scared. Literally, after making rain fall, you do such a great miracle and you're going to hide. You know what I mean? So, and the Bible says Elijah was a man subject to like passions, but he said rain would not fall, and rain did not fall, right? So, even though he was a prophet of God, he was still human. He was still flesh and blood. I'm going to be examining his faith today, along the lines of um, business, right? Because this is the Christian Entrepreneur podcast. So what do you expect? So let's talk about it. So let's read 1 Kings 17 real quick. Now Elijah, who was from Tishbe in Gilead, told King Ahab, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word. Then the Lord said to Elijah, go to the east and hide by Kerith Brook, near where it enters the Jordan River. Drink from the brook and eat what the ravens bring you, for I have commanded them to bring you food. So Elijah did as the Lord told him and camped beside Kerith Brook, east of the Jordan. The ravens brought him bread and meat each morning and evening, and drank from the brook. But after a while, the brook dried up, for there was no rainfall anywhere in the land. Obviously, he had already prophesied it. So now, let's go on to the story of the widow of Zarephath. Then the Lord said to Elijah, go and live in the village of Zarephath, near the city of Sidon, for I have instructed the widow there to feed you. So he went to Zarephath. As he arrived at the gates of the village, he saw a widow gathering sticks, and he asked her, would you please bring me a little water in a cup? As she was going to get it, he called to her, bring me a bite of bread too. But she said, I swear by the Lord your God that I don't have a single piece of bread in the house, and I have only a handful of flour left in the jar and a little cooking oil in the bottom of the jar. I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then my son and I will die. But Elijah said to her, don't be afraid. Go ahead and do what you've said, but make a little bread for me first. Then use what's left to prepare a meal for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There will always be flour and olive oil left in your containers until the time when the Lord sends rain and the crops grow again. So she did as Elijah said, and she and Elijah and her family continued to eat for many days. There was always enough flour and olive oil left in the containers, just as the Lord had promised through Elijah. So then our son fell sick and he died, and he raised him up from dead. You know all the story. But let's just take a moment to just take in the goodness of God, the creativity of God. Look how he made sure the widow had provision for many days until rain came. That little flour and oil that was supposed to be their last meal did not finish until provision came. But that's not what we're talking about today. Let's go and talk about the faith of the man of God, Elijah. I like him so much. I think that he's a very interesting character. He's very relatable. Is real. You can see his frailty in the stories. You can see how it was very powerful. You would see how he's relatable. He's a relatable prophet, because look at him. Sometimes he's going to hide because he's scared that, how can you be scared of Jezebel? You spoke and rain did not fall for 3.5 years. You did that. And you had, I mean, literally after outrunning the chariots of Ahab, you are now scared that Jezebel will kill you. I mean, that's the point where you should be high on faith. You should be like, nothing can. You went to go and hide. You say, God, why just kill me now? You know, and God is like, what's going on? Anyways, I digress. Let's just go into the story. So now, after Elijah told Ahab that it was not going to rain until he gives the word and rain falls, you know, that was an economic situation in Israel. That was famine. Literally, when there's no rain, there's no crops cannot grow. That's automatic famine, right? But the Lord made sure there was a provision available for Elijah. Elijah did not go to God and say, Lord, so now that rain will not fall, even me that I not give the prophecy, I'm going to also suffer. I'm trying to check that my mic is working. Jesus is God. My mic is just acting. It has a mind of its own. Okay, so would he now say, why didn't he just say, oh Lord, so if you know that this prophecy that you have given me now to release, you know it will also affect me, like why this economy. But Elijah was a man of God, right? He had a relationship with God, and he knew that, I'm sure he knew that God would provide for him. So even in the midst of an economic downtime, in the midst of famine, in the midst of depression or repression, or whatever was going on in Israel, the Lord provided for his people. It tells us that God cannot be stranded. So no matter the economic climate, no matter how tough things are in a particular country that you run your business, you can be sure that as long as you're aligned with God's purpose and God's will, because Elijah was obviously aligned, provision was always there for him. So it doesn't matter what the economy is saying in the country you're currently doing your business. You can see from Elijah's story that even though there was famine, God ensured that Elijah, even though he lived in Israel, he did not experience the famine that everybody else was experiencing. He had a parallel economy that he was running with, and God was his constant supplier. Imagine God sending ravens. Think about it, ravens, not even humans. Imagine God sending ravens to provide, giving bread and meat morning and night, and he was drinking from the brook. Imagine that. And they looked for Elijah. Ahab looked for this guy everywhere. He couldn't find this guy. Elijah was literally hiding in plain sight. You see that brook he went to go and hide? Apparently, Elijah is from Tishbe, and Tishbe is, the brook is, you know, sort of like in the town or in the region where Elijah was from. So he was obviously hiding in a place that he could have been found. But God hid him in plain sight. They didn't see him. They turned everywhere. They checked everywhere. They couldn't find him. And I'm sure he must have been scared for his life, of course, obviously. But in the midst of that economic issue, in the midst of the uncertainty, because they're not even sure, because the prophecy was that when I speak, when I now come and tell you that rain will come back, that's when we will not come back. So you're not even sure, you know, like, so everybody's faith was just hanging. The widow she had literally had nothing left, just a last meal, and they began to die. There was no hope that they were going to even go through or survive the famine period. But in the midst of that economic, you know, downtime, God provided for his people. And that's why as business owners, as Christian entrepreneurs, we have to be aligned with what God is doing per time, per season. We have to ensure that we're in tune with God's purposes and God's plans for our lives and for our business per time, because alignment is what ensures that you get provision. If Elijah was not aligned, or if some other person that was, you know, in that situation was not aligned, they will not get provision, because God will only pay the bill that is his. If it not tell you to place an order and go and place an order, the bill is on you, you're going to pay for it. But if God has called you out on the journey and you know that, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, I'm currently aligned with God's will for my life, I'm the center of his will for my life. If there's any economic issue, there's famine, there's depression, there's regression, recession, or anything, you would know for a fact that you would have the confidence, because the Bible says when there's a casting down, what would we say? There's a lifting up for us, right? Because you will know that, okay, I operate in a parallel economy, and no matter what is going on in Nigeria or whichever country I live or operate or run my businesses from, it cannot affect me. This is proof that even though there was famine in the land, Every day, breakfast and dinner was guaranteed for the servant of God. Breakfast and dinner was guaranteed for the man of God. If God has to send ravens to bring provision for you, He will do it. And Elijah is proof. And think about it, it even makes sense when God said, "Oh, I'll send ravens. I have commanded ravens to feed you, to bring you bread and meat in the morning and the evening." That's crazy. Ravens, like not even humans. Oh my goodness, it just tells us that the provision of God is so certain that God cannot be stranded, and so that's why you cannot be stranded. God cannot be stranded. If God has to send ravens, animals, do you know that ravens have, like, if you go and do your research, read about ravens, you would see that they are not loyal with food. They are the kind of animal, birds that will steal food. They will gang up to their guys or their fellow ravens. They will distract a predator and steal the predator's food. This was the one that God could trust for that long period of time to bring food to his servants morning and night. Think about it. It would choose the most unlikely people, the most unlikely circumstances, the most unlikely opportunities to bring provision to the people that are aligned to his will. You cannot predict God. If you think of a million ways that God can supply your needs, out of those million ways, not one of them would he use. He would go out. You cannot put God in a box. He would go outside of the box to supply your need. And it cannot be stranded. If it's ravens, if they are no human beings to bring food, think about it. Where the ravens go and steal bread and steal meat from. And it was without fail. It was without fail. It was without fail. They were commanded. If you are aligned with the will of God for your life and for your business, God will command people. God will command ravens. He will command nations for you, for your sake. All you have to do is be aligned. All Elijah had to do was declare the prophecy as he was given. That was his alignment to God's will. He did not ask, okay, so now that there's going to be famine, what will happen to me? Me that there's going to be prophecy, am I going to suffer as well? No, because God will never abandon his own. God is too faithful to fail. And if he has to command a raven to supply Elijah, what do you think he will do for you today? He went against everything. Ravens are not loyal animals. They are birds that would steal meat. They are the ones that God is entrusting Elijah's provision to because he had commanded them. It tells you that you can trust God with your business. All you have to just do is to be aligned with his will. You can trust him. You don't have to panic if there's recession or people are saying, oh my God, it's a horrible economy, or it's beginning of the year and sales are slow. You don't even have to say those words, because as you speak them, you start to see them. We create our world with our words. The things that we want to see, the things that we speak are the things that we see. The life that you currently live is as a result of what you've spoken in the last 5, 4, 10 years. The life that you want to live tomorrow, the life that you want to experience tomorrow, or the next 5, 10 years, you should start seeing it now so that it can happen. So when people are saying, oh, the economy is horrible, there's recession, sales are horrible, we don't know what is going on, it's hard doing business in Nigeria, yada, yada, yada. You don't speak those words with them. Why? Because you know that you operate in a parallel economy, and that's because you operate in that economy, your supply is not from here. The supply is from heaven. God is going to command a raven to bring provision to you. No matter what is going on in the land, you will not be out of supply. All you have to do is be positioned. What is God doing now? Find out. What's God saying now? Where should I be? How should I be positioned? What should I do as a Christian entrepreneur? What should I be selling? What product should I introduce? What should I stop doing? What kind of people should I hire? What kind of expert should I hire? Should I shut down this business? Should I start this? What is God asking me to do this season? What is God demanding for me this season? Is God demanding consecration for me? Is God asking me to give? What is God asking me to do this season? Those are questions that you want to ask yourself, because you want to be sure that no matter what is going on the outside, that your boat is not troubled and that you're not affected, that you can sleep like Jesus on the boat even though the wind is boisterous, that you have the power, you have the spiritual intelligence it takes to walk on water even when there's a storm. You will know that I can't sink. Why? Because my feet is on solid ground, because I know who has called me. there's a confidence that you have, that you move with when you know that you have heaven's backing. But when you're not sure, like, am I sure, am I not sure, then you start to have fear, and then you start to sink like Peter. But when you know the one that has called you out on this journey, you know that, okay, I'm in line with God's will. Even if I don't have it 100%, I know that my heart is right. I'm asking for directions. I want to do His will. I want to be where He wants me to be. I want to be doing what He wants me to be doing part-time. Nothing is mundane. As a Christian entrepreneur, nothing is mundane. You cannot say, maybe, let me give an example. Maybe you sell petroleum products and you want to, I currently trade crude oil. And then you want to say, okay, maybe I should try, but do I want to, or okay, should I want to go upstream? Do I want to go downstream? What do I want to do? How do I want to diversify? What kind of, do I want to bring investors? Everything that looks like, but it's business is God understands business. So this priest understands business more than anybody in the world. More than your Harvard professors. He does. You have to engage him in everything. That's how to be aligned. Don't say, this is too mundane. Should I hire this staff? I know how to hire a staff. I'm educated. I have HR experience. I have the expertise. I know what to look out for in the staff. No, you run everything by the boss, and the boss is God. Like I always say, you're not the boss of your business. You're just a manager. The one that has called you out on the journey is the boss. And the earlier you start to understand that you are not the boss, you report to God, it makes life easy for you. Do you know why? Because do you know how hard it is to run a business and carry all the burden by yourself? I know how hard it is. How you have to make all the hard decisions. You have to deal with the losses. You have to deal with staff. You have to deal with customers. You have to deal with all the problems. Imagine not having to deal with that. It's so cool. Like when a problem arises, you take it to God and say, God, please, I see this, I can't. It takes care of it. The Bible says, cast your cares upon me, for I care for you. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. He wants to carry it. But CEO, you yesterday will CEO like shoulder pad. You put a badge of CEO on your chest because I want to be CEO so bad. And then you carry the burdens that you can give to God to carry for you. Many of us are carrying burdens in our businesses that we have no business carrying. And Jesus wants to help you, but you're like, I'm a business executive. I got this. You got what? And when things start to go off or go bad, then you run to God. God, I need your help. This is your present, ever present help in time of need. Ever present. Ever present. In time of need, you're always in need of Him. You always have to need Him. He's always there. He's always there to help you. Always there to guide you. Do this. Don't do this. Don't hire this person. Don't introduce this new product. Don't do this. I'm gonna launch a circular fashion business, right? And the Holy Spirit told me I was planning on it. You know how you create a buzz around the launch. You know how the launch strategy. You create a buzz 10 days to the launch. The kind of content you should create. Kind of influencers you should. They have like a whole. Like I know what to do. Do you know? I just need to sit down and think, write down my ideas and execute. So I was like, okay, I'll do a launch. And the Spirit said, don't do a launch. Just start selling. It doesn't make common sense. I want to launch an idea, a business model that does not exist yet in Nigeria. I should do plenty PR, crazy PR, make a lot of noise about it, and just create a buzz so that on the day of the launch, that is piam, the products are flying off the websites like very fast. So the Spirit said, do not do a launch. Get inventory. Run your ads, start your sales, start selling. You can make it look like a launch sale. Don't create the buzz, just start selling. It didn't make any sense to me. But like, so no buzz, no hype. We just like, products come today, put up on the website, run adverts, and there's no excitement. It's just very bland, very blah. And it said that's how to do it. And I said, that's fine. That's what you want me to do. I'm gonna do it because you know better than me. I'm not even going to argue with you. Like, I know when I was carrying my business on my head, like I was the alpha and the omega and the beginning and the end, everything of my business. It was a burden. And I just did that for a while. Those people said to me, you need to come, let me help you. This is this life you're living. I didn't have time to pray. I could wake up, and the moment I opened my eyes, work. And I'm working till like go to bed to sleep. I'm falling off. I'm just sleeping off. Like I'm just going to fall on my bed like this and sleep off. While I'm sleeping, I'm thinking of the things I have to do. When I wake up, the next thing, I barely have time to eat. My life was a complete wreck. And at the end of the day, there was nothing to show for it. Until I realized that, you know what, this is not how to move. This is not even how to move at all. I don't have to do all of this, right? And it was hard for me, but I had to do it. One of the things I did, one of the sacrifices I made was to give my Mondays as a seed to God. It's like asking me for my chest, like my heart, like I couldn't breathe. Mondays for an entrepreneur, you can't tell me that I should give my Mondays. Like, he didn't ask for it, I gave it. It was like asking for my Isaac. You get, like, Monday, I can give you Tuesday, I can give you Wednesday. In fact, I can give you 4 days. But see that Monday, I need it because I mean I've had the weekend to sort of like rest. I don't know. I used to be a workaholic. I don't want to say I'm a workaholic because workaholic it's not something like you should pride in. I used to be a workaholic. I still like to get things done. I like to get. I'm very goal driven, right? So I have it in my head. I'm working the entire weekend in my head. On Monday, I want to start executing the ideas I have put it. Do you get what I mean? And I'll give you my Mondays. It was so hard. So Mondays I'll just sit. I call it immersion. I didn't have a word for it. I just said, it's my retreat day, but I call it my immersion. I immerse. Now interestingly, I think I still do Mondays. Like, it was so unplanned. Like, I mean, like literally so unplanned. I just fast, yeah. I don't want to start talking about spiritual exercises on here. So Mondays are mine. So yeah, I realized now that even Mondays I immerse. Mondays and Tuesdays I just, from Sunday night, go on a cruise, immerse. I call it my immersion. So immersion in the sense of I just immerse myself. I don't do work. If I have to do work, it'll be very, very minimal work. I just immerse myself. Like, I'm doing spiritual exercises, I'm praying, I'm reading my Bible, reading books, listening to music. I'm just immersing myself in His presence. I'm just doing, I call it immersion. I don't know if it makes sense to you. Anyway, so how did we get here? I don't recall how we got here, but we're here. So I need to now trace my steps back to where I was coming from. Okay, so I was saying that as a Christian entrepreneur, you have to prioritize a relationship with God, right? You have to be aligned with His will. In alignment means taking out time to even find out what is in the heart of God for me, for my business right now. Even if you're still at the early stages, you're not even still doing ideation, you're still conceptualizing, you're not even in the market yet, you're just putting ideas and that's the best time to even get God involved. Every single step, God has to have a say, right? God has to have a say. That's how to be aligned. That's how to protect yourself. Because if God has a say, then God has an investment in your business. And if you do allow your investment to go bad, no, He would protect it, and so God will protect your investment. Another thing I want you to also notice was that when the brook dried up, God relocated Elijah's supply to the widow, another most unlikely place to get provision. Like when God said, okay, go to the widow of Zarephath, because I've commanded go to Zarephath, I've commanded the widow to provide for you, or to what are the words you use, or to feed you, take care of you. Like, you want to send me, let me speak pidgin, you won't send me go where food day, you won't bless me, you won't tell me to happen with widow, no husband, she's probably poor. Come on now. And there is famine. On a normal day, when there's no famine, widow is probably most likely struggling. Then there's now famine, like the most unlikely common. Even when God said go and hide him by the brook, I'm sure it helps. Because like I said, if you do your research, you find out that the brook is located in Elijah's area. So if they want to go find Elijah, they will first go find and go on that side. They will even first go. Why did Elijah say God? Like, you don't see anywhere so you can go, and that might, if they won't find me, that the first place they will go with that. Do you get what I mean? God is so amazing. It doesn't work the way we think it's going to work. We like to feel we are very smart and very logical. God is not logical. God is God. Do you understand? You will feel like, okay, this is how we should do it. No. And His ways are not our ways. His plans are not like our plans. And so He says, go to the widow. But imagine if Elijah was not aligned to get instructions as regards where to move. For some of us, our supply has changed address, but we have not gotten the bill. We've not checked our mail to know where the next supply is coming from. Elijah had to be checking his mail to see, okay, update. There's updates. You know, mails you see update. There's updates that you have not opened because you're too busy trying to get the brook to bring water. The brook is dry. Move. Your supply has changed address. It's no longer where you think it is. It's no longer where you are. Imagine Elijah was waiting for the raven to still bring bread and meat when God had already said go to Zarephath, but he did not get the intelligence. He didn't get the memo. He didn't check his updates. It was not aligned. He was disconnected. Network was bad. He couldn't connect. He was too busy. He couldn't hear God's voice saying move. Some of us are like that today. We're too busy. We're too busy waiting for the raven. We're too busy, sometimes even worshiping the raven. We made the raven God, or we made the raven an idol. We're too busy trying to dig up the brook, trying to see if we can get more water. Why is this water dry? Let's try and see. But this is where God said that what my supply will come from. Now it is dry. God has failed me. Okay, let me try and dig. We're digging. We're still hitting rock bottom. Nothing is coming. There's no water swinging out because supply has moved. And then we're there blaming God. We're still on that spot saying, but God, you said. But God, you said. What is God saying now? Remember, when God told Elijah to go to the brook and that the raven was going to bring him meat and bread, he did not say thereafter, after a while. God will not give you the entire process. He will tell you step by step. So it's your duty to be aligned every single time, at every point in time. It's your duty to be aligned with God's plans for your life. God will not give Elijah the entire script and say, okay, now, so after you go to the brook, after 1 year, 3 months, the brook will now dry. When the brook dries, you will now get up and go to Zarephath. No, instructions come per time. And it follows obedience. Instructions follow obedience. You have to be sensitive with the Spirit of God to know what God is saying. Sometimes God has moved. Sometimes God has moved. Sometimes God has moved. But because we're too busy where we are, we don't get the update. We don't know that God has moved. And we're asking Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh has moved to supply somewhere else. You need to find out where it is and go get it. God gave Elijah supply per time. While it was time to go to the brook, he said go to the brook, the raven to come. When that season was over and the season was a season to go to Zarephath, that was when God gave him the next set of instructions, which was to go to Zarephath and be fed by the widow. No arguments. Again, another unlikely source. Your supply can come from a place that you feel like, why is this person the one that God is using to bless me? I'm older than them. I have more even because of condition, or I have more qualifications than them. Why is it? You don't get to decide where your supply is going to come from. You have to eat the humble pie. Elijah was a prophet of God, God's servant, man of God. You think it's easy to tell Brian not to fall? Try and make it easy. But still, it was a widow that fed him for a while. It was the raven that brought him food for a while. You cannot tell God. Sometimes even God's way of killing that pride that's in you, because God wants to work in you. God is very interested in the person that you are on the inside, more than the things that he wants to give you, because that's real value, right? Sometimes he will humble you to go to this place and do internship, go and learn, leave your business for 2 years and go and understudy, go and learn under this person. You will eat the humble pie. Because you need to grow. And then when he got to the widow's place, what happened? She literally told him, sis, sir, water I can give you. But you see bread, the last flour that's available on the last point was what I was just gathering sticks to go and make bread for my son and I, so that we would eat and then we would die. She had put a lid on on living, like this is fact that she don't stamp and make we chop, make we die. That was a plan. Like, there's nothing that there's famine, there was nothing that could possibly come out of this situation. But then Elijah was a man that was walking in obedience with God. Now you can see that our obedience is connected to other people's blessings, but we don't even realize it. Obedience is so powerful. One act of disobedience can trigger delays, setbacks for ourselves and other people. Imagine that when God told Elijah to go to the widow of Zarephath, he said, a widow, how? Imagine if he did not go. She probably would have eaten that last meal and died with her son. Because I don't see how multiplication would have come if she had not sowed that seed, if she had not given. She probably would have eaten that meal and died with her son. Because somebody somewhere was not alert enough to know what God was saying per time, one, or heard what God was saying as regards moving to Zarephath, but did nothing about it. We do not understand the impact our obedience or lack of obedience would have on earth and even in eternity. When God says do this or don't do this, we do not know how far that acts. We don't know the ripple effect. We don't know. We don't see the full picture, so we have no idea. Imagine if Adam and Eve knew the effect of eating the apple. Sorry, not apple, the fruit. I take that back. I take it back. Imagine if Adam and Eve, God had told them, come in the beginning. I said, come. You see this tree? No touch her. Because if you touch this tree, they not show them the screen. Not see, not rewind is take it back. You know how they show. You can understand. They show them the screen. It's just going back, rewinding, like fast forwarding, not stop. Boom. So see now, this is what you want. So what happened? When they show them, you not eat the fruits. You not die spiritually. I'm not making clothes. I'm not chasing out of the garden so that you not eat the tree of the tree of life, so that you not be irredeemable like the Satan. You will now go and then you now have children and you go on and on and on and on like that, and see will not start. No, I will not come, will not destroy the world. Then I'm not saying Jesus to die, you will not suffer because of you. Imagine if they knew the ripple effect of that single. They will say, this fruit, we don't go touch her, we will not go there at all. Just imagine that they knew that. They would never. They were even gonna look for barricade. They put barricade around the tree. They say, cherubim, please help us to be. Don't. You see this part? We won't touch it. Imagine that they saw the entire picture. You think that the tree, when the serpent came to meet Eve and told her that, okay, see this tree, you eat it, you'll be able to see, like God. You do this, you do. You think it will entice her because she had a picture of what will happen, the consequences that you cannot. She would not touch it, but because God will not always tell you everything from the beginning, it is per time, per second, per instruction per obedience. That's how it works. So imagine if Elijah had said, okay, no, I'm not interested. The way would have probably probably eaten the last meal she had and died or something. We don't know, but there's a very high chance that she would have done that. Would have been what happened. Elijah would have suffered, widow would have died, the son would have died. Do you understand? They would not have been able to survive that famine, and the entire family would have been gone. She was already a widow, so the husband was gone. She would have been gone, and the son would have been gone. Sometimes our obedience goes a long way. We never see the full picture, but we have to trust the one that sees the full picture. So I hope that you've learned something about the faith of Elijah today. I think it's a very fascinating Bible character, and I can't wait to read your comments. Please feel free to share, leave your comments, and subscribe. Until I see you again at the next episode. Dear Christian Entrepreneur, keep winning. Bye. I'm rooting for you.